Hello everyone, this is Taryn with Wonderfully Made Handcrafting, and today I'm working on day 3 of By the Wall for God's Poured Out devotional. Now in day 3, Tom is talking all about the Passover in Exodus 12 and how that relates to the Last Supper in Luke 22. And so I wanted to do a little bit more digging on the Passover and why it's so important and relates to Luke 22. So I found a lesson by R.C. Sproul, and in that lesson he has a wonderful quote that has really made me think. And so I wanted to include that in this Bible journaling page. And that quote is, "To be saved in the ultimate sense is to be spared from the ultimate calamity. And the ultimate calamity is exposure to the wrath of God. So what Christ saves his people from is the wrath of the Father." And so we say, what are you saved from? You're saved from God. Not only are we saved by God, but we are saved from God. And that idea is dramatically displayed here in the Old Testament Passover. The sign on the doorpost, the sign marked by the blood of the Lamb, means that these people will be rescued from the calamitous exposure to the wrath of God. So as I'm working on the layout of this page, I'm trying to keep it fairly simple. It's basically a bunch of layers with a hint of texture, as you see me creating right here on this handmade paper with an embossing folder. And I want to include that quote from R.C. Sproul. So I put that on a tag. This is some paper that came from an older kit from By the Wall for God. I think it's actually a number of years old, maybe 3 years ago this paper came from, and I absolutely love it. The back side is a bunch of tickets, but it really has those same cool tones that you see in the fern, and so that is why I decided to use that on the tag. And I also want to include these two little sheep. Those sheep look like ephemera pieces, but they actually came out of the additional sticker pack that you could have purchased alongside the kit for this month, and I create my own ephemera pieces all the time with stickers. I don't prefer to use the clear stickers the way they come. I'd much rather create my own ephemera with them, simply because I don't like seeing through the clear stickers. I know that's the appeal to them, and that works great if you have a small margin Bible, and so you can see the Bible text through the stickers. However, I always work in an interleaf Bible, and so creating my own ephemera is an awesome way to use those sticker packs, and you get a lot more stuff. So that's just what I've done here. I've added them to some white cardstock and fussy cut them out. When it comes to the background of this page, I also want to keep that simple. So I'm using a little bit of frayed burlap and the new Tim Holtz color Lost Shadow all across the background of this page. I also have that new stamp set Indwelling from By the Wall for God, and I'm using that little fun marks stamp that's in there. It's like a bunch of cross hatches or whatnot, and I am just using a little bit of Lost Shadow on that and stamping it around the background to just give me some texture in the background. I don't like plain backgrounds, but I want to keep it simple at the same time. Now, this in no way is stamped perfectly because I have a really wonky Bible page that I'm working with right here. I like using a lot of chunk in my Bible journaling pages, and so eventually, especially when you're working at the beginning of the Bible, you are going to get a bunch of bumps and wumps around the background. And so I just do the best that I can, and there are some mistakes in here with my stamping. There's some lines from the block because I got ink on the block, and then the background was bumpy, but it's no big deal. It's just a background. And also the cluster that I'm forming actually hides a bunch of my mistakes. So don't worry, I'm not the best at stamping either. That's why I love background stamps. And now we are getting ready to put this all together. I'm using my Barely Arts glue. I'll paste that tag down onto my handmade paper. I am creating this cluster off the page so I can get the best alignment. I feel like that's the best way I can do it, but you may feel like you can do it on the paper better. But I also forgot to add this little fern. So I'm lifting up that tag real quick before the glue dries and placing that there. I also felt like I should add some more texture, so I grabbed this mummy cloth from Tim Holtz. Now, if you don't have the mummy cloth, you can also use cheesecloth, but I like the width of this, and it's very easy to pull apart and create a more airy look. So that comes out around the fall time each year. So, grab a pack or two if you like the look of it. I just use my tiny attacher to staple this down because my sheep are going to hide the staples. Now, when it comes to these sheep, I was trying to figure out which one I wanted in front versus the back, and I am layering them, so I will use some foam tape to prop the front one up. And so originally I was going to have that one that was standing in the front because I think it's just a little bit cuter. However, then I thought about the foam tape and the little stick legs that I'd have to put the foam tape on, and I changed right away to putting the foam tape on the sitting down one. It would be much easier. Now with this foam tape, I do use the scrapbook.com foam tape. I like the wider versions because I can cut it down to whatever size I need, and I do keep the excess on the roll. So don't just throw away the excess if you have to cut down some foam tape. Put it back on that roll on the slippery, kind of waxy side. Don't put it on the sides of the foam tape, if that makes sense. It gets really sticky and you won't be able to take those pieces off. And so if you put it on that, covering that has the slippery stuff, it'll easily come off again. I did feel like I needed a couple more layers to make this page really my own. And so I grabbed some of the curator snippets from Tim Holtz, and I'm trying to figure out where to place those and which ones to use. And to finish this page off, after I glue it down and I actually think I'm completely done, I felt the need to add something to the top. It just seemed a little bit empty. So I grabbed my ribbons and looked through them and found this tattered rose colored lace, and I ended up tying a bow to the top of the tag. You will see that in the pictures to come. So don't worry, you're not losing your mind. I didn't put it in this video. I just add some Barely Arts glue to paste this down. Luckily, I didn't paste down that tag too much, so I can get in there and add that lace, and then this page will be done. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me over on Instagram at Wonderfully Made Handcrafting. I will put everything I used in the description below, and I hope you have a wonderful day, guys. Bye.